Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. I don't know. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an absolutely fantastic day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. In news that I think was supposed to be more dramatic news, I'm not really sure. This one barely even registered across many different headlines that we've been seeing over the course of the last few months. For those of you who don't know, a number of cryptocurrency companies in general are buying up a lot of crypto. And for some reason, it made then major headlines that Tether was also buying crypto as well. There were a lot of people who were, not joking, who were really surprised that a cryptocurrency company was buying cryptocurrency. We had the same issue when we found out that Brad Garlinghouse owns Bitcoin and that Charles Hoskinson also, I think, owns Ether and a bunch of other coins. So alas, here we are. The weird part is that it didn't make major news. I would have assumed that this news would have been quite popular. And yeah, this website has very weird formatting. I tried to change the size so that you can see the text completely, but for some reason, as I move the scale of it, everything, I'm flailing my hands and none of you can see it. It basically flips all over the place and nothing really. Anyway, just stay along for the ride then. Stablecoin issuer Tether has expanded their Bitcoin holdings, acquiring an additional $380 million worth of Bitcoin in the last quarter, bringing their total amount of Bitcoin that Tether has to 66,465 BTC. That is one company alone. We normally, and I'm glad that we're getting these numbers now, because before it wasn't once again on anyone's radar. Typically, we constantly heard about whatchamajaggers, MicroStrategy, maybe Cathie Wood, maybe one or two other companies who are buying large amounts of cryptocurrency and or Bitcoin. And I think usually if we keep hearing about the same companies over and over, it doesn't really have a major effect because it becomes lightly blasé. We're used to hearing companies on TV, they have 300 billion in assets. This company is worth 11 trillion. So these numbers kind of blend together in a sort of way. So if you consistently hear that a company is holding 14,000 Bitcoin, 27,000 Bitcoin, 6,000 Bitcoin, 66,000, like Tether, you go, okay, but when you add all these numbers up, it gets very, very close to the actual 21 million Bitcoin, or completely the amount that we actually have mined right now. For those of you who missed the last couple of dramatic videos on this channel, and I also am glad that we have these numbers as well, because I wanted to make sense to people. We now have news that the companies who have their Bitcoin ETFs, that they collectively in 10 days or 10, 11 days, give or take, have a total of 95,000 Bitcoin. Just those companies alone. And then you add in Tether, you add in MicroStrategy, you add in all these other, whatever. You add in how much the Winklevoss twins have, how much Michael Saylor has, and all, You get to that number very, very fast. And it becomes then, to me, more of a discussion of, well, these companies are probably going to continue to accumulate Bitcoin. And also, they're probably going to be richer than a number of different countries on the planet, which I think is going to be the weirdest part. Because imagine a situation where Tether currently has 66,400 Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin's price completely goes insane. And we enter into a world where countries more or less need to acquire Bitcoin to kind of keep their economy going and or share in the Bitcoin economy that they weren't a part of before. The idea of them even acquiring 4,000 Bitcoin is going to be a gigantic multi-billion-dollar feat. So we are probably going to hear about a number of countries over the next 2 decades who maybe have 55 Bitcoin to their name. Like, because there won't be anything left. Like you would assume that there would be like a line or a queue, and they'd get to the front and they'd be allowed to accumulate as much as they want. But you're also then still fighting against hundreds of millions of people who are accumulating Satoshis all the time as well. So I think a lot of these things are very interesting. No one really talks about them. Even on other channels, I'm always quite shocked that everyone just focuses on like prices are high, prices are low, where the pricing's gonna go. I didn't mean to rhyme there, but you know what I'm trying to say, as opposed to being like, if there's not a lot of Bitcoin in general, and these companies are holding 5 to 6 figures of it, you throw in around 40 to 50 different companies, and they're holding the vast majority of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin does end up taking off, these people have more wealth than, Tether has been steadily increasing their holdings each quarter since it began its Bitcoin acquisitions in September of 2022. Notable purchases include 15,915 in March of 2023, and the recent acquisition of 8,888 Bitcoin at the close of last year, marking their third largest purchase to date. Does it say it's somewhere around here? It's believed that they have the 11th largest Bitcoin wallet, and it was announced by Tether CEO. His name is Paolo Ardoino, that the company is going to be investing 15% of their profits quarterly into Bitcoin. And that's mainly because they're making a lot of money. This is why you keep seeing a lot of like Tether hate from other companies and or usually the Wall Street Journal, because Tether's making a lot of money doing what they do. I don't know their fees, but I would assume they have rather low fees if they are the stable coin king within the cryptocurrency space, and they make a lot of money from their fees and other operations that they might have. And the money that they're making, they're taking 15% of it and using it to buy Bitcoin, and they already have 66,000 Bitcoin. So we are probably going to hear by the end of, I would say the end of next year. They got 66,000 Bitcoin in less than 2 years. I give it the end of 2025. They're probably going to hold over 100,000 Bitcoin, which many people also won't bat an eye at because we have other companies who hold more, forgetting the fact that they're absorbing like days worth of Bitcoin. If you missed the numbers in the second to last video that we had, not Grayscale, BlackRock. For some reason, I always confuse the gray and the black, and I don't know why I do that. It's very weird. BlackRock alone in 2 days bought more Bitcoin than was created by the network in 13 days. So for 13 days worth of Bitcoin were accumulated just by BlackRock, and no one batted an eye. There was no, oh my gosh, that's so many Bitcoin. It was like, cool. Anyway, that's the why can't I speak today? I almost said Tether. Stablecoin issuer Tether, reading it right here, has bought more Bitcoin news. We'll hear about this again next quarter. And yeah, let's move on. Sure, why not? Ethereum developers have rolled out their, and I air quote here, the much anticipated Den Kun upgrade on the Goerli test network, marking a pivotal step towards its imminent integration into the mainnet. Meanwhile, the upgrade's deployment, not without its challenges, brought forth the introduction of the EIP 4844, which has something called proto-dank sharding. It's literally the worst thing that they could have named it, but I know a lot of these people tried to have fun and name these things most terrible things in the entire world, but alas, here we are. This isn't really much anticipated so much as it is expected to happen. No one is really gearing up and or quite excited that much anymore about any upgrades for many different coins. A lot of the upgrades from years ago were the things that people were waiting for. It mainly had to do with transitions to proof of stake, to using like some type of a burn mechanism, to you name it, staking your coins. That's all people really cared about a number of years ago across multiple chains. It's not just Ethereum. It's more like a generalized thing. And now whenever we hear about upgrades and updates from coins, they tend to have like very flowery language, and they're like, this is going to change this. And it's like no one really cares what's happening anymore. People just kind of want to focus on the money-making aspect of a lot of these chains. The only real update that anyone, or the majority of people, because I'm sure there's someone out there who's like, I love proto-dank sharding, who are like really waiting for a proper upgrade for Ethereum, is just for the transaction speed, because that will, in essence, also help to propel it to become a larger network. We need, or should have at this point, over 15,000 transactions per second. So was the promise back in good old 2017. But a lot of these proposals now, especially when we recently heard from Vitalik, I want to say maybe 1 or 2 months ago, is he basically said something along the lines of, he wants more support for layer 2 solutions to kind of ease the stress on the Ethereum main chain. I feel like they might be, the word's not ashamed. I have a feeling that Ethereum just kind of wants to remain as Ethereum. That is to say, like, just leave the main chain alone. They had a lot of promises years ago as far as like quicker transactions and all the like being more robust. But I have a feeling they're probably going to try and go the Bitcoin route, where the main chain won't be upgraded or as much. You know, you won't do anything that could potentially put strain on it and or damage it. And then you put priority on other layered solutions around it, where, you know, a gigantic question mark, because the idea for Bitcoin is that the main chain would just be used for larger transactions that you definitely want to be more secure. But then maybe I don't know exactly what they're planning on doing, but a lot of it is kind of all over the place. So we know that they have multiple test nets that they have to go on to. They don't have like colored test nets the same way that Cardano does. They have like a red, yellow, purple, pink, blue, and a white one. We'll see what ends up happening. So yeah, this was relatively kind of popular news. I think they want like a hype around this, because normally before in the past, whenever there was an upgrade for a chain, we would see the price move up. And there's no date as to when this is going to happen, but I wholeheartedly assume that it probably won't end up taking place until we get relatively close to the actual halving, in an effort to try and make it's all timing. The same exact thing from many other chains. You'll see as well in the next couple of weeks. You'll see how many other chains are going to start announcing their upgrades and updates, and they'll all just particularly have the upgrade date of a mid-March, late March, or early April kind of thing going on. That's the Ethereum proto-dank sharding testnet activate news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in, yeah, sure, why not? Okay. Apparently the court trial is going on between Coinbase and the SEC. The SEC last year went on a gigantic tirade, and it seems like the dragon has been quelled lightly, or isn't, beating its wings as much as it was before. But now they're simply just trying to like finish out the other lawsuits that they have had going on for a while. Coinbase is one of the newer ones, and we can only really hope that this also doesn't last for like 4 to 5 years, because it's absolutely nonsense. The SEC last year announced that they believed, because they're psychotic, that a number of altcoins, basically everything but Bitcoin, was an unregistered security. And then for some reason, they went after cryptocurrency exchanges for different coins. And it's like, okay, well, you're not very consistent there. The issue here involves at least 13 different coins that the SEC claims that Coinbase has listed on their platform without registering with the SEC, which I also find to be a load of nonsense, simply because I don't believe, regardless of me not liking Coinbase, I don't think that Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, and Binance would have actively made sure not to register coins with the SEC and or tell the SEC that they were going to be listed on their platform. And even more so, we knew that these coins were on Coinbase. Why would the SEC launch a lawsuit 4 or 5 years after these things were already on their platform? Apparently, the lawsuit seems to be going lightly in favor of Coinbase. We haven't had as much dramatic news about it as we've had with the Ripple versus SEC case, but there's been a lot of things like trickling into the news quite recently. And a number of analysts out there, people involved with the case, or people looking at it, the Twitter lawyers, as they're called, the people who post every single day as to what they think is happening within the lawsuit. The last I saw was that they believe that there's like a 75% chance that Coinbase will actually win this lawsuit, which would be great according to them, not only as a win, air quotes, for the cryptocurrency space, but it would kind of once again push the dragon back further into its cave, because you can't keep filing lawsuits and losing all of them against these major companies. At some point, you have to kind of give up. It says on the 6th of June, the SEC identified 13 altcoins as securities, which they said were investment contracts, and filed a lawsuit against the Coinbase exchange, which was also really weird because Coinbase then became the exchange for nearly every ETF issuer as their custody solution. So something weird is also happening behind the scenes there, but fantastic. A lot of people seem to be interested in this. This has nothing, like almost nothing to do with you, simply because it's Coinbase and the coins that they issued. Even if they are deemed securities, even if the SEC does gain control over them, Coinbase will still be able to list them on their platform. If not Coinbase, it'll be another platform. It'll be whatever BlackRock and Fidelity are trying to create, and they'll be able to magically hold securities on their platform. And it's kind of the way that things go. A lot of people made it's very ironic. A number of years ago, a lot of people made other people afraid of the idea of an unregistered security, and now these people are afraid themselves. Because years ago, people thought the only thing that could be an unregistered security was XRP. Lo and behold, it's every other coin that other people are holding as well, except for Bitcoin. Yeah, that's the SEC is at it once again. Hopefully this lawsuit is over very soon, because it's just fatiguing. I'm so tired of the SEC. It's almost unreal in a way that they're still a thing and it hasn't been completely torn apart. But that's the news. And yeah, let's move on. In yay-ish kind of news, MetaMask, the non-custodial wallet being developed by Consensus, has apparently launched a validator staking on MetaMask itself, enabling users to run their own Ethereum validator nodes. But the issue is, and the problem that people have a lot of problems with, is that apparently you have to pay them a 10% fee. So I've noticed that a lot of companies within the cryptocurrency space can be a little greedy. And I think it's because they tell you that they're offering you a service that you can't do yourself, or that they make easier, and therefore they charge a tremendous amount of money. We saw this a number of years ago with Coinbase, and that was one of the main things where I was like, you guys know that your fees are way too high. Coinbase, I believe it was staking. I believe it was staking some coin on their platform, and people were looking through their platform, their website, and found that they were charging a 25% fee for you to be able to do what you could have done on your own. And I was like, that's a lot. Even 10% is kind of really pushing it. I could maybe see a 1.5 to a 2% fee 5% fee is like, you know what, I'll do it. I like MetaMask. I want to use them as opposed to anything else. 7% is like, that's like inflation like a year ago, and that was terrible to go through. 10% is 10% of my money is, you know, not a thing that I actually want to use or work with. That's why I said it's like, yay-ish, where it's nice that there's like another, because apparently actually, what do you call it? Staking Ether or validating Ether, the people from Ethereum basically made it so difficult that it's not that easy for the average person, the average user to do it by themselves. So MetaMask has jumped in to say, hey, we can help you do it. But the 10% fee is, for those of you who don't know, who've never used like Fidelity or Vanguard or any of these websites to like deal with ETFs or mutual funds or things like that, fees typically range from 0.2% to maybe 1.5%. And a lot of the stuff within the cryptocurrency space, people keep charging 10%, 14%, 25%, and it's like, you know, you're taking advantage of other people. Those fees are extremely high. Even a lot of like self-custody desktop wallets. If you've ever tried swapping coins before, you'll see like the fee, and it's like, why are you charging $28 for someone to be able to swap their coins? Per the announcement, the feature will allow users to operate their Ethereum validator node without the complexities of pooling or the need for specialized hardware. I don't understand why it's so much easier, this is me personally, why it's so much easier for certain chains to be able to like stake on your own by yourself. But Ethereum, for some reason, is apparently one of the most complex, even when it comes to like unstaking and other websites having to do like liquid ether to be able to give you back the money. It's just a lot going on. Here's the tweet for it right here from MetaMask. It says, introducing validator staking on MetaMask portfolio. You still need the 32 ether deposit, and they will run. It says we run your very own validator. So I assume that is we, that is them. Run your very own validator node while you're always in control. Not sure how that works if it's in their house, but I'm always in control. It says no pooling, no hardware, just rewards. And there's like a little video. It's pink. I'm not going to click on the play button. MetaMask will operate validator nodes for stakeholders who deposit 32 ether. A commitment valued at approximately $78,000, at least at the time of me making this video. The crypto wallet provider will ensure the security and efficient management of nodes, promising to streamline staking rewards while mitigating risks associated with slashing and downtime. Apparently, slashing is a penalty if you're not as active on the network or aren't validating properly or making sure that you do things incorrectly. It's basically meant to keep people in line. If you know you should be validating transactions, but you're choosing not to, this is probably far more complex than any of us can actually even begin to understand. But there were instances a number of years ago from older chains that we don't really hear about anymore. People became validators, and basically they chose not to validate some transactions for whatever reason. Oh, I'm stretching. My back hurts. Oh, so cool. Awesome. I don't know, really, I honestly have no idea what else to say. It's cool that we have something like this. The 10% fee is a little ridiculous. I'm sure a lot of people would have loved to have used MetaMask. The 10% fee is going to deter them, especially when other crypto exchanges start offering this as well, especially like a self-validating or like, you know, to be able to validate nodes and transactions. And they offer a 7% fee or a 5% fee or a 3% fee. So cool. MetaMask is also like very well known, but I still don't care for the fact that they were trying to integrate Visa and MasterCard into their platform, which then gave MetaMask more of your information to them. I'm a little shaky. A lot of stuff is going on. That's the MetaMask staking Ethereum news. There was also news before. This was like a year and a half ago, 2 years. that they were thinking of lowering the 32 Ether threshold. I don't think that's going to probably happen. And it's only going to become more restrictive to actually mine Ether because, not everyone has 32 Ether. Not a lot of people even have 10 Ether. So what am I talking about? All right, that's the Ether news. And yeah, let's move on. So this news was also quite popular, and I was like, okay, cool. That's awesome. That's awesome for them. South Korea's presidential office has recently proposed reconsideration for the approval of a local spot Bitcoin ETF. The moment the US got spot Bitcoin ETFs, for some reason, every other country either heavily agreed and or disagreed. And I mean like the day after, there were a number of countries who banned spot Bitcoin ETFs from the United States within their country, which was really weird. We had a number of other countries reiterate that they didn't like Bitcoin and that they wouldn't allow any type of securitized version of Bitcoin within their borders. And I was like, not to be mean, I was like, it's not like your economy's that important anyway. Not South Korea, but because South Korea is huge. But it's more of a these other countries came out of nowhere agreeing with Gary Gensler, and it's like, well, you don't have a Bitcoin ETF. Bitcoin's not even allowed in your borders. We don't really care what you have to say about what it just doesn't make a lot of sense as far as that goes. But South Korea was one of the countries who kind of swiftly came out and they were like, no, we won't do it. We won't allow it. And I was like, okay, you don't have to. As long as people are allowed to deal in crypto in your country, they don't particularly need a securitized version of Bitcoin. According to reports from Mail Business, the suggestion for re-evaluating the spot Bitcoin ETF comes from Sung Tae-yoon, the chief of staff for policy at the South Korean presidential office. During a briefing, Sung highlighted the government's interest in aligning local regulations with international standards, suggesting a more open approach towards cryptocurrencies and related financial products such as ETFs. Responding to a question, which was, are you considering institutionalizing Bitcoin? Sung said we need to change our country's legal system appropriately, or things that happen overseas can be accepted in our country, end quote. I think it's something as simple as they don't want the US version within their borders. They want to make their own. But it was a weird knee-jerk reaction where they basically announced that no ETFs would be allowed. And now they're trying to reevaluate if they should just have something similar to it, but only from their country. And it's like, just do it. Why the drama? Why is there always this need for people to spin around in circles? And I don't know, just shut up and do it. If you're going to do it eventually at some point anyway, if this is happening this year, cool, we can have a conversation about it. But if you guys aren't planning on launching or allowing spot Bitcoin ETFs within your country, this year, nonetheless, in the next 10 years, no one actually cares what you're going to do. The most important part is that people have access to the market, which they do. The most important part is that they can buy and sell crypto, which they can. So over the course of a bull run or a bull market, if people are able to buy, sell, hold, and trade crypto, that's all that the market really cares about. If you have a securitized version of Bitcoin within your borders, whoop-de-doo, that's absolutely amazing, and I hope it works out well for you. But this entire dramatic thing about institutionalized Bitcoin is no, Bitcoin is the institution. It already exists. We already have access to it. The presidential office made the statement following the South Korean Financial Services Commission's previous announcement regarding the U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs, which it warns that the domestic securities firms against listing them. They said domestic securities firms brokering overseas listed Bitcoin spot ETFs may violate the existing government stance on virtual assets and the Capital Markets Act. This was said by the commission. And then it continues going on. This is a very long article. Basically, they're trying to not use the US one and make their own one, I guess, with their own local laws or things that they would assume are going to protect people within South Korea. And cool, just do it. Part of the problem is, and here's a warning, part of the problem is that Canada has ETFs, Australia and I think New Zealand have ETFs. Germany has Bitcoin ETFs. I think there's one or two other European countries as well. And the price didn't move. Back then, not that no one cared about them, but they didn't make that many waves as much as the US ones were expected to. But cool. This was also quite popular, I assume, once again, simply because Japan and South Korea had the cryptocurrency market in a vice grip in 2017. So maybe the expectation is that they'll be able to do the exact same again with their trading volume in 2024 and 2025. Gigantic question marks. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See